I noticed that we try to solve problems in the United States in silos, right? Here's our education silo. Boy, we need to fix education. Here's our healthcare silo. Well, we just tweak this and that in the healthcare system, and that'll be just fine. Oh, we got this problem with food, which is what the book is about, right? If we just do X, Y, and Z in the food system, it'll be fine. We'll be able to fix it. And we have our veterans over here and all the rest, right? What you begin to see, if you slow down, right, you're almost like a quarterback who's watching all the different pieces moving and how they're all connected together. And what I realized is, you know what? You can't just fix the healthcare system alone. That the healthcare system is directly linked to the food system in the United States, right? We have in the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to have half the country that has either diabetes or pre-diabetes. So how are we going to bend the cost curve in healthcare? Although I think mindfulness and stress reduction is a big part, but if we don't address the food part of this, we're never going to be able to bend the cost curve. And how are we going to change the food part if we don't change the education piece? So how do all these things tie together? And what a real food revolution is about, which I think is actually out there, it doesn't come out till October 14th, but you can pick it up if it's out there, is try to lay out a new agenda for our agricultural policies in the United States and how we can move from big industrial agriculture into sustainable and convert those farms into sustainable farms that can feed our kids and families fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy food so that they can be healthy. So these things are important, and we want our kids to learn, right? We want our kids to be educated. And this is not an anti-farmer, this is pro-farmer. This is like, how do we wrap our arms around the farmers and help them? If you've got a big farm and that's mortgaged, and you've got thousands of acres, and you've got kids in school and mortgages to pay, and this is how you pay your bills, we can't all run up and say, boy, it'd be nice if you grew more fruits and vegetables. You're like, well, I'd love to, but, you going to pay the bills? We need to demand and put a new food system together that allows us to reduce the risk for farmers so that they can grow fruits and vegetables and the kind of healthy food that we need, and make sure we get it into our schools so that our kids can eat good, healthy food in school. It is a place of education, right? So we should be teaching them how to eat appropriately. I think there should be a garden in every schoolyard. There should be a kitchen in every schoolhouse, and there should be a salad bar in every school cafeteria. And we should begin to teach our kids how to grow, cook healthy, and eat healthy food. Many kids you go to, you ask them where a tomato comes from, they say, Macaulay's Giant Eagle, which is the local store in Ohio. Right? We need to teach them this. If we're going to bend the cost curves for healthcare, this ultimately is the direction that we need to go in. We have urban areas like Youngstown, Ohio, where I come from, right? There is, I don't know about thousands of acres, but thousands of homes that have come down because the city went from 160,000 people down to about 70. And so we're knocking down homes. And I think it would be a very wise investment from the public standpoint is to invest into these communities and have urban gardens and urban farms and make these neighborhoods, instead of centers of consumption, centers of production. And so that they could then take the food and sell it to the schools, sell it to the colleges, sell it to the prisons, and we can build a new food system that will make us a healthier society. Ultimately, that's what needs to happen. Investments in these kinds of things will transform our country. We want kids to go to school, right? Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. The day you're born and the day you find out why. And our job is to make sure that kids are going to school and they're healthy, they're eating properly, They're learning how to be aware and focus and concentrate. We teach them resiliency. And everything else will take care of itself. You still teach math and science and STEM and robotics, and I think you got to make it fun, right? You got to make it enthusiasm and excitement for school. But if they're not eating properly, they're not going to learn. And I want you to imagine a school that has a garden, home ec 2.0, right? We got rid of home ec a long time ago, right? Let's bring it back, right? Home ec 2.0. So we have kids learning in a garden. And we use that as an opportunity to teach them fractions and math, and there's just ways to tie that in, and biology and all the rest. And then we have a kitchen, and people learn how to prepare their own food. And there's salad bars and good healthy food in our school systems. And we try to get rid of all the junk that tempts our kids, that spikes their blood sugar, that leads to, over time, high rates of diabetes. And a school that teaches them social and emotional skills so that they know how to interact with people. You know, we've spent a lot of money trying to address bullying. We haven't even moved the needle on it, right? Haven't even moved the needle on it. Teaching them practices on how to calm down, focus, listen, care about each other, work well in a team, so that you can find a skill, which is another speech not meant for this, but in a skill, so when you're 18, if you're not going to go to college or get a 2-year degree, you have some skill that you can be self-sufficient. Imagine those schools. Imagine where kids go to school and learn how to calm down and not get ramped up, where they learn how to connect and open their hearts and do great things. And that means offering them music and art and all of these things that are the first things to get cut in our schools, right? We want kids to be more creative, and the first thing we cut are the things that make them creative, help them become creative. That means we've got to make these kinds of investments. But imagine what kind of young man and young woman will come out of that school. You want to change the neighborhoods? You want to reduce violence in the neighborhoods? This is how you reduce violence in the neighborhoods. You want to reduce the amount of money we spend on safety services and security? Well, we better have a new approach so that we don't have a lot of these issues. And people can say this is pie in the sky. You always got the cynics, right? Well, I don't see it. I see it. I see how this can change our communities and give our kids a shot in a very, very complicated world. Martin Luther King said a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. And I come to Hay House events and go speak because I believe that we can mold a new consensus in the United States of America. And you can be a part of that. A new approach for our kids, a new approach for our schools, a new approach for our food, investments into our urban cores, creating markets for our rural folks and our farmers so that they have a place to sell their products to our schools, to our universities, to our prisons. Now they have a place to sell. This is something that we can do by tweaking our system and seeing how things really are interconnected. You know, I was reading a book a few weeks back that I had read a long time ago. It's called A Short History of Nearly Everything. Big book, so I listened to it on tape. But there were 2 points that were made in that book that I remember. One was, the guy said, Bill Bryson said, if you rearrange the energy in your body, you have the power, arranged properly, of 30 hydrogen bombs. That's the juice in a human being, the average sized human being. 30 hydrogen bombs. And we have about 700,000 hours. If you're the average person on the planet, you live to be the average age, you're about 700,000 hours. So we have the power of 30 hydrogen bombs, and we have 700,000 hours in our life in which to take this juice, this energy that we have, and figure out what we're going to do with it, right? The day we were born and the day we figured out why. And I don't like how cynical our political system has gotten, because I've seen veterans who have adopted these practices and get their life back. And then they take all of the experience, all of the resiliency, all of the training, all of the discipline, all of the skills that they learn to be a warrior, and now this appreciation for mindfulness, and now they're healthy and back into the world. That's a change agent. That's someone who transforms a community or a school when they go back. The average stay for a Marine in the Marines is 5 or 6 years, and then they go back to the community that they came from. They got 700,000 hours. They got this huge skill set, and they got 30 hydrogen bombs, and they can go out and make a difference. These kids, I see it in the schools. I'm not making this up. You see them transform before your very eyes. You listen to the guidance counselors tell me and tell us, people that I bring to the school. They tell us these kids are changing. We don't have problems. The principal's office isn't filled with disciplined issues anymore. We get to actually manage the school. I remember when it was just in the 3rd grade, the principal came and said, I don't know what you did to the 3rd grade, but we don't even talk about them in our staff meetings. Now we feel bad that they're the only people we don't talk about. I'm watching this unfold. I see people get healthy because of these practices, that they were so sick, and now they got their health back. We can do this. We do not need to be cynical. And I will say to you, you've got to believe that we can do this, because so many times we have people, and I see it, I go to yoga conferences, I go to mindfulness conferences, I speak in my job, and a lot of times people in our world here, they think, well, I'm not interested in that stuff. I'm like, I want to sit on my cushion, I want to meditate, I want to reduce my stress. I got enough stress in my life, actually. I don't need to be dealing with all that stress in Washington, D.C., or Columbus, Ohio, or wherever it is. No. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Your kids, there are kids that need you, and you may not even know who they are. There are veterans who need you, and you may not even know who they are. And we have got to be change agents. So I got married about 1.5 years ago in New York, and I have 2 stepchildren who I just love to death, and they're 11 and 10. And we had a new baby that's 3.5 months old, little Brady. And yesterday he threw up on me and peed on me, so we got it all going on now. This is my first public statement about my son, and I talk about him throwing up and peeing on me. Come on, what kind of dad am I? And we have 2 dogs. We have a couple rescue dogs, too, that run around everywhere. And they own the house, actually. They do everything but pay the mortgage, Like, oh, steak, great. Oh, a couch, I saw a picture someone sent the other day. It was a picture of a cute little puppy. And underneath, the caption said, I thought you were done with that shoe. Looked real sad, So the point is, my house can be very hectic. And a couple weeks ago, everyone had went to bed, and I found myself in the family room, and it was quiet. So I got the controller for the TV. I'm like, this is not a cartoon, or like I get to put something on that I want to watch. So I get it and I turn it on. And one of my favorite coaches of all time is an old basketball coach who died very, very young. His name was Jim Valvano. And he was the coach at North Carolina State and they won the championship in 1983, and I must have been 10 years old, and I remember seeing him win the championship, and he's running around, and he's running like crazy. So I always loved the guy. And so they're doing this documentary, and they start playing this speech that he gave about a speech that he heard. And it went something like this. He said, God must have really loved ordinary people because he made a lot of us. But every single day, ordinary people do extraordinary things. Every single day, ordinary people do extraordinary things. And that's why you come to this conference. You come to this conference because you know down deep you can do something extraordinary, right? Or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. And I got into politics because I believed that we could do extraordinary things if we came together, if we had some new ideas, if we weren't afraid to lead, knowing that there were going to be some critics, that if we stopped focusing on our weaknesses, our pathologies, and we started saying, man, this is what we can be. Look at our strengths. Look at our resiliency. Look at our creativity. Look at our brilliance. Look at our intelligence. Look at what we have done. We went to the moon, for God's sake, because we were focused on a goal. And I believe that we can have that level of transformation in our country now, not 30 years from now, not 40 years from now. Kids need us. Veterans need us. Our planet needs us to get engaged in the political process. You cannot take, I will not take no for an answer. You have to get involved. You have to. You've got skills. You've got talent. You've got a heart that you want to share. And if you want personal development, the best way to do that is jump into the mix. Share your skills and talent. Don't be afraid. We can't have a country run by fear. Look where it's gotten us. Everything's about fear. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we got to do that. We got to go to war here. We got to go war there because we're afraid. We're not afraid. Let's come from a place of love. We love our kids. We love these veterans who serve our country. So selfless. So selfless. Ordinary people every single day do extraordinary things. And I want to join you, and I want you to join me in transforming the United States by injecting new ideas and a new spirit that can take our country from where we are today to where we want to be tomorrow. But the decisions all need to be made in the now. Thank you so very, very much.